welcome back to Times Square today. Have you ever achieved success at something and then realized it wasn't all you had hoped it would be? Well, you're not alone. Our next guest is Jordan Kemper, author of The Red Key Revolution. Helping people find significance and be significant is what he's all about. Jordan, welcome to Times Square.
Awesome, Jess. I'm glad to be here.
Well, okay, so success is not enough?
Yeah, that's the reality. I mean, success isn't a bad thing, right? You want success, I want it too. But the reality is so many people find some level of success and they're left unfulfilled, right?
Right.
And we find success in different ways. Sometimes it's the car we drive, it's the position,
Right.
the title, the income perhaps. But if there's not that fulfillment that we want at the end of the day, what really is success?
So we're pushing, we get this thing, and then we say, oh, is that all there is?
Yeah, and I believe that when we add value just to ourselves, we're going to be left feeling hollow.
Right.
But the reality is when we add value to others, now we start to feel significant.
Okay, so explain where you fit into this equation. And he's got the new book, Red Key Revolution, and explain the Red Key.
Yeah, so the Red Key story is crazy. So the genesis of the Red Key Revolution was actually a red key. I was 13 years old. I went to church one Wednesday night. The youth pastor basically gave us a red key and he challenged us to try and remain sexually pure throughout the course of our life.
Oh, okay.
And the goal was to try and make a decision that would influence a person we wouldn't meet for many years. So I took that challenge, and for whatever reason, it really resonated with me. I took that red key home, I hid it away, I held onto that key for 20 years, and I ended up marrying my wife at 31 and was able to give her the red key. But I think what's so unique about that story is that no success or achievement in my own life could match a decision of a teenage boy to a woman he wouldn't meet for 20 years. And that's what the Red Key Revolution is about, is what decisions can you make today that will affect people you meet tomorrow?
And this is something that we can use in all areas of our lives.
That's right.
So you say that we need to figure out some of the steps, we need to figure out what we're after and why we're after it.
That's right. So I actually brought the red key. I borrowed it from my wife.
You did?
So this is very special.
That's the actual red key.
This is the actual red key.
Don't drop it off here.
I won't drop it. But if you think about the anatomy of a key, right? You've got the fat part's the bow and the skinny part's the blade, and the blade is made up of cuts.
Okay.
And if certain cuts aren't in the key, you can't unlock what it is you're trying to unlock.
Right.
So the cuts are so unique. And so the way the book is written is what cuts in your life do you need to make to be able to unlock significance? And whether the cuts aren't there or the cuts are faded, we've got to work on those. And cuts sometimes are sacrifices, they're choices, they're decisions that we have to make in our lives. So what cuts need to be made to where we can make room for the things that are significant?
And I notice in the book you say that we have to also be constantly redirecting and recalibrating.
That's right. So redirecting your gratification may be one. Defining your success by the success of others. Recalibrating your goals. What goals can't you achieve unless you help other people reach their goals? It's a higher level of thinking.
So you're a guy who's figured this out a little earlier. You've reached success. I know you're out there as a speaker. I was watching one of your videos we were chatting about, and also helping people who are leaders. Is this just for leaders? I know that whole leadership word gets thrown around in business, but
so I think the book is written to benefit anyone. Right?
Okay.
So I think young people like 13-year-old boys like I was will benefit from the book.
Okay.
I also think churches will resonate with the message. But certainly with my background being in business and entrepreneurship, I think businesses will relate to this message of how do we treat our customers better? How do we react and relate to people better in the workplace? But how do we make choices that are going to influence other people?
So it's about what we really want. It's about just taking control of our lives. I know you're an in-demand speaker. What are some of the topics that you talk about?
Yeah, so if I'm speaking to young people, it'll probably be significance or purity. Speaking to a church, maybe a marriage conference, youth groups, maybe weekend services. And then certainly if I'm speaking to a business, it's going to be about entrepreneurs, businessmen and women. How can they go beyond success to pursue significance in their lives?
So you talk in the book about redefining your legacy.
Yeah.
What do you think your legacy will be as you've been figuring this stuff out?
You know, I think that's the most important chapter. We all want to have a legacy. And as I think back to when I was 17, my grandfather passed away. I sat at his funeral, and I remember very vividly sitting in the front row, a woman came up during an open mic session, and she said, you know, Harry, my grandfather, he paid for my son to go to college. And another woman came up and said, you know, I couldn't afford to pay for my daughter's prom dress, but Harry paid for it. Person after person after person came up and talked about the impact that my grandfather had had. And I remembered in that moment that Your significance is based on the value you add to other people's lives. Significance isn't something you find, it's something that finds you. And so I hope that my legacy one day when my time comes to an end is that I have a funeral full of people that have been impacted by my life, and most importantly, that God's pleased.
Well, it's bigger than a book. It's a mission this guy is on. Red Key Revolution, and redkeyrevolution.com is the website.
The opportunity to get the books, and more importantly, to get keys. Let the key be a symbol of decisions you're going to make on behalf of other people.
That's exciting stuff. Jordan, thanks for being here.
Jess, I'm excited. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.